Imagine London, and it's 1874.
We ride the currents of the unknown tide.
Picture the most respected chemist in Britain, the guy who discovered a new element, invented the technology that would later on become your TV screen. He's sitting in a dark room, completely mesmerized by a teenage girl claiming to summon the dead.
I am coming for you. Lighting up pathways, both new and old.
Sir William Crookes wasn't some desperate widow seeking closure. He was a stone-cold scientist. But there he was, night after night, watching Florence Cook supposedly materialize full-body ghosts.
Boom.
He wrote detailed reports. He swore it was real. He staked his entire reputation on it. The man was nearly blind, literally couldn't see past his own nose. His colleagues were basically saying, "Dude, you're being conned by a kid in a bedsheet." But here's what haunts me about this story. What if Crookes wasn't the fool? What if he was sensing something the rest of us have trained ourselves not to see? Because here's the thing, we live in a world where we've systematically eliminated mystery.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Lighting up pathways, both new and old.
We have single-handedly decided that anything unexplainable is automatically stupid. But what if some of that stupidity was actually a different kind of intelligence? I mean, what if the biggest superstition of all is thinking we've got reality figured out?
This is the most unusual practice. Rethink what you think you know with Charlie.
There's this German word, okay, here I go, Entzauberung. It literally basically means demagification. The sociologist Max Weber used it to describe what happened when modern civilization decided to squeeze all the mystery out of life. But here's the weird part. Weber wasn't celebrating this. The guy was actually bummed out about it. And you know where he came up with this theory? While actually hanging out at a Swiss commune full of modern pagans. I'm not kidding. The man who coined the term for our ultra-rational world was literally living with people who danced naked under the moon. And it gets weirder. All the big names who supposedly killed magic were secretly obsessed with it. Freud went to seances. The guy who invented psychoanalysis was trying to talk to dead people. Durkheim? Well, who gave us modern sociology? He spent years studying primitive rituals like he was trying to reverse engineer some lost technology. These weren't guys debunking superstition. They were actually mourning it. Like they knew we were losing something important but couldn't figure out how to keep it. And maybe they were right. Because look around. We live in the most rational society in history, and everyone is miserable. Anxiety through the roof, people desperately searching for meaning in their jobs, their relationships, their Instagram likes. We got rid of magic and replaced it with what? Motivational quotes and life coaches? No offense. Here's what nobody wants to admit. We didn't eliminate magical thinking. We just made it unconscious and way more expensive. Your grandma's weird little rituals before exams? Well, turns out there's actual science behind that. Researchers found that people who perform lucky rituals before stressful tasks literally perform better. Not because the rituals are magic, but because they reduce anxiety and boost confidence. So, we took something that worked and called it stupid. Smart move, humanity.
Yay!
But it goes deeper than just personal comfort. Think about harvest festivals, seasonal celebrations, community rituals. We dismissed all of that as primitive. But these weren't just parties. They were social technology, ways for entire communities to process difficult emotions together, mark transitions, and maintain connections. What do we have instead? Well, today we've got individual therapy If you're lucky enough to afford it, social media echo chambers, if you're not. Take the Balinese. They have this concept where the visible world and invisible world exist side by side. Their elaborate ceremonies aren't tourist attractions. They're how they manage collective anxiety and keep their society from falling apart. Meanwhile, we've got the highest rates of depression and isolation in human history. Woo-hoo-wee! Coinky-dink? Nope, I don't think so.
Now me, I not only drink really, I really drink.
And here's the real twisted part. Our rational culture is absolutely soaked in magical thinking. We just don't call it that. We believe brands can transform our identity. We trust in the invisible hand of markets. And we perform elaborate consumption rituals around holidays that have zero connection to their original meaning. The difference is, medieval peasants knew they were practicing faith. We think we're being logical while we're literally worshiping at the altar of Apple products. We didn't become less superstitious. We just got worse at admitting it. But then something funny happened. Just as we finished burying magic 6 feet under, science started discovering stuff that sounds like it came straight out of a fairy tale. Birds navigate using quantum entanglement. I'm not making this up, guys. Every time a robin finds its way south, it's reading magnetic fields through quantum computers in its eyes. Your computer struggles to send an email, and birds are casually performing quantum calculations that would make NASA weep. Plants? Well, they've been running quantum computers in their leaves for 1 billion years. Photosynthesis works by exploring all possible energy paths simultaneously. It's like nature figured out quantum computing before we even knew what an electron was.
Whatever do you mean?
And smell. Well, this is my favorite. You see, your nose might work through quantum tunneling. You're not just detecting molecules, you're reading their quantum vibrations. Every time you smell coffee, you're actually performing quantum mechanics. Then there's consciousness itself. There's this theory called waysour. And before you roll your eyes, it was developed by a Nobel Prize winner and published in actual journals. The idea is that consciousness happens when quantum processes in your brain collapse into specific states. Every conscious moment is literally the universe choosing one reality from infinite possibilities. So if that's not magic, I don't know what is. David Bohm, who worked with Einstein, went completely off the deep end trying to solve quantum mechanics. His conclusion? Everything in the universe is already connected at a deeper level. What we call separate things is only an illusion. Reality is one giant, unified movement that we can only see pieces of. Sounds insane, right? Well, except it explains why quantum particles can affect each other instantly across vast distances. Maybe they were never separate to begin with. But now here's where it gets really interesting. Regular people are starting to sense this shift.
Oh my God.
Burning Man, yep, that Burning Man draws 70,000 people to the desert every year to practice what's basically techno-paganism. TikTok witches have racked up 53 billion views, and Gen Z is sharing spells and tarot readings like their grandparents shared recipes. This isn't a fringe movement. It's mass reenchantment happening right under our noses. But, and this is crucial, just because the universe is weird doesn't mean every mystical hustler gets a free pass. The moment quantum physics hit mainstream culture, spiritual entrepreneurs pounced. Quantum healing, quantum manifestation, The Secret convinced millions that thinking happy thoughts would quantum tunnel money into their bank accounts. This is where things get really dangerous. Taking genuine scientific mystery and using it to sell old-fashioned wishful thinking with a lab coat on.
This guy was good.
Deepak Chopra made millions convincing people that consciousness can reshape matter through quantum fields. Newsflash, that's not how quantum mechanics works, apparently. When physicists talk about observer effects, they're not saying your positive attitude can levitate your mortgage payment. The real trap isn't believing in magic. It's confusing metaphor with mechanism. Quantum superposition is a mathematical description, not proof that everything is possible if you just believe hard enough. Studies show people with stronger magical beliefs tend to have lower scientific literacy, but it's not that simple. Some of the most educated people are drawn to what you might call rational mysticism, frameworks that acknowledge mystery without abandoning critical thinking. The danger isn't that people want magic. It's that they're burying fake magic when the real stuff is already all around us. Because honestly, reality is already so bizarre that we don't need to add supernatural bullshit to make it interesting. Birds doing quantum computing, plants running billion-year-old algorithms, consciousness potentially emerging from quantum processes. Why would you need crystals when you have chlorophyll? So, how do we move forward? How do we get the benefits of enchantment without falling for every spiritual pyramid scheme on Instagram? Well, we start with rituals that work, not because they're magical, but because they're functional. Create transition ceremonies for major life changes. Mark the seasons. Acknowledge thresholds. You don't need to believe in spirits to benefit from structured meaning making. You just need to recognize that humans are ritual-making creatures, whether we admit it or not. We're not all on the same level. We don't all do it the same way. It doesn't mean you don't do it. Practice what scientists call awe protocols. Deliberately seek out experiences that make you feel connected to something larger than yourself. Spend time in nature. Real time, not selfie-utilized time. Study astronomy until you feel appropriately insignificant. Learn about fungal networks until you realize forests might be smarter than cities. Embrace indigenous knowledge systems not as exotic mysticism, but as sophisticated environmental intelligence. When Aboriginal Australians talk about country as a living entity, they're describing ecological relationships that Western science is just catching up to. TEK, traditional ecological knowledge, isn't primitive. It's often more advanced than our own reductionist approaches. So today, here's my homework for you. For 1 week, can you please do me this favor and just play with this? I mean, life is to be played with. Track synchronicities, not because the universe is sending you personal messages, and not because you're super special than anybody else, but to notice how attention in itself can actually create patterns. Write down your meaningful coincidences, then ask yourself, are these genuine connections, or is it just my brain being human? You see, it really doesn't matter which. The practice itself, paying attention to the poetry of ordinary experience, is a form of rational enchantment. Or how about research the folklore in your own city? Every place has stories that reveal how previous generations made sense of their world. Urban legends aren't just entertainment, they're cultural DNA, encoding practical wisdom about place and survival. The goal is not to go back to believing in literal demons. It's to develop sophisticated enchantment, smart enough to distinguish between real mystery and manufactured mysticism, wise enough to know that some truths can only be expressed through metaphor.
Roger, Charlie, we're ready to rock.
Here's what I love about William Crook sitting in that dark room. He refused to let the world become small. Yeah, maybe he was fooled by a teenage con artist, but he was also a guy who looked at the universe and said,
I bet there's more here than meets the eye.
And you know what? He was right, just not in the way he thought. We get to live in the most magical time in human history. If you do not see that, you've got problems. Let's talk. We have ancient wisdom traditions being validated by cutting-edge science. We have young people reinventing ritual and meaning-making for the digital age. The magic never actually left. We just forgot how to see it.
You are now tuned to your number one radio station.
So here's your invitation. I want you to stay curious and stay open. and let yourself be amazed by the genuine mysteries all around you, from the quantum dance happening in your nose every time you smell coffee, to the impossible fact that you're a bunch of atoms that somehow learn to wonder about themselves. You do not need to believe in ghosts to live in an enchanted world. You just need to remember that wonder is not weakness. It is absolute intelligence, and I would add, possibly, a tweak to your happiness place. The most rational thing any of us can do is admit that reality is far more extraordinary than we'll ever fully understand.
Unusual practice. Rethink what you think you know.
The real magic is that we get to be conscious in a universe that doesn't have to make sense. But somehow, somewhere, someway, it does just that anyway.
Mom, somebody just followed me.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.